This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today being Tuesday, we're looking at a top 5 list, and this is very much a continuation of what I was talking about last week when I picked my 5 favourite bands of all time. I've done my 5 favourite artists in a particular genre, or my 5 favourite albums by a particular artist, or my 5 favourite, kind of albums in a particular genre. But, it struck me that it was long overdue to do my 5 favourite bands of all time. And I said with the list last week that there may be a part 2 of that. But before we get to that, I'm going to do my 5 favourite solo artists of all time. But you knew all that anyway, because you've seen the title of the video and seen the thumbnail and everything. So the artists I'm going to talk about today are all, solo artists. They've all had careers under their own name. I almost kind of cheated and put Mark Knopfler into this list because, it was the Dire Straits were essentially the Mark Knopfler band, weren't they? But just the stuff that he's released under his own name it's never really grabbed me as much as the old Dire Straits stuff, the pre-Brothers in Arms period, that is. So that's why Mark isn't on this list, but plenty of great players are great artists, great singers, I should say, and great players for that matter. All of these people I'm going to talk about here are maybe not the flavour of the month. They may not be artists who I'm kind of listening to at the moment a heck of a lot, but I always seem to return to them and have done for, decade upon decade. I'm looking at this list here, and there isn't a person on this list who I didn't discover later than the mid-1980s. So they've all stood the test of time. Let's see who they are, starting with
Dave Edmunds.
Yeah, in the late 70s, Top of the Pops on the BBC, that was your weekly dose of what was going on in the music business. And, I've spoken about this in the past, about how, even the throwaway kind of top 40 music of that period was, well, frankly, in a different league to its equivalent today. But I'm not going to kind of get up on that particular soapbox. But there just seemed to be a period of, it felt like forever at the time, where Dave Edmunds was always a permanent resident on Top of the Pops. I remember singles like Girls Talk, Queen of Hearts, Sweet Little Lisa, I seem to recall, with Albert Lee on guitar. And what else was it? That collaboration he did with the Stray Cats, The Race Is On. It was just like everything he did seemed to be a big hit. And it was all kind of music that I really dug. And there is a Dave Edmunds style. I think if you listen to something like, as I say, Girls Talk, it sounds like Dave Edmunds, and also going back to I Hear You Knocking from the early 70s, which I subsequently discovered then, and, Queen of Hearts and stuff. All of these songs sound like different, but they all have that Dave Edmunds kind of vibe to them. And yeah, I've been listening to his stuff for absolutely ages. Arguably, I think he could probably make a strong claim to have invented neoclassical metal, well before Yngwie did, because go and listen to his version of Khachaturian's Sabre Dance. That was when he was in, not when he was under his own banner, it was when he was in a band called Love Sculpture. But yeah, I really dig this guy. I think he's a fantastic guitar player and a great songwriter, and just got a really, really unique rock singing voice as well. So if you're not familiar with his work, check him out. I'm going to put links to all of these artists down in the description, but that is the first one on the list, Dave Edmunds. Let's see who's next.
Eric Clapton.
Has to be. It has to be Eric Clapton. I'm the first person to say that there are huge swathes of his career that are, just a fallow patch, shall we say, where he was just phoning it in. But when he's got the spark, when that electricity is there, he can absolutely send goosebumps down my spine. He is an incredibly sporadic but prolific and electrifying blues player, I think. And that's when he's doing blues, that's when he's doing best. And I've said many times, the Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. Yes, I know that's a band album rather than a solo album, but his playing on that, jamming with Duane Allman, is just absolutely electrifying. I know there are a lot of people who don't like him for various reasons, but judging on musical merit alone, and his guitar playing and arguably his songwriting, I think he's done. Many people would be happy to have written a song like Layla, and say, right, that's it. I've earned me stripes. Now I've written that. I like his music when he's on form, but I'm the first person to admit that he's not always on form. But I go back to his music time and time and time and time again and enjoy listening to it. So if I'm picking my favourite solo artists, he had to be on the list. Next.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, now on Thursday I'm going to be talking about guitar magazines and, back in the days when we all used to buy those. And Stevie Ray Vaughan was an artist that I discovered through Guitar Player magazine. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, this was the magazine that had that little kind of pull-out record, the little kind of flexi vinyl disc that you could play and get a flavour of a new artist. And there was some Stevie Ray Vaughan track on there. I can't remember what it was. I've been through my entire Stevie Ray Vaughan collection when I started kind of buying his albums and couldn't find anything that reminded me of the tune that was on that disc. And of course the disc, kind of got lost somewhere along the way. But it was some up-tempo, smouldering kind of smoking instrumental blues that Stevie was renowned for. Something along the lines of either Rude Mood or Scuttlebuttin' or Testify, or one of those kind of up-tempo shuffle kind of things that he would do. And it's like, oh my dearie me, this is an artist I have to investigate further. So unfortunately, I lived in a pretty rural part of the country at the time, and it was the local record shop had stuff that was in the top 40, and that was pretty much it. So it was a little while before I could get to a more cosmopolitan shopping district and find what were the record shops back in the 80s, HMV or Our Price or one of those kind of chains where I could get a Stevie Ray Vaughan album. And of course I got Texas Flood, and then Couldn't Stand the Weather, and and the whole catalogue eventually. An artist I will never ever tire of hearing. Just inspirational and electrifying in equal measure. I think because he had such a short time in the spotlight before he sadly left us, that he didn't have chance to record a bad album. And that, every cloud has a silver lining, I suppose. But yeah, just I love everything he ever did. And if we're talking, as I say, about my favourite solo artist, Stevie has to be on the list. Next.
Jeff Beck.
Yeah, there used to be probably the antidote to Top of the Pops, the antidote to kind of lip-syncing commercial music in the UK in the early 80s. Well, throughout the 80s really, was a TV show called The Tube, hosted by Jules Holland and Paula Yates and various other people. And the theme tune to it was just this really kind of bizarre but somehow catchy guitar instrumental. And nowadays you just go type into Google, what is the theme tune to The Tube? Obviously you couldn't do that then, but asking around and kind of probing information out of people who were older and wiser than me when it came to matters of a musical nature, I found out it was a tune called Star Cycle by Jeff Beck off his There and Back album, and that was the gateway for me to discover Jeff Beck. The only thing I knew about Jeff Beck at this point was that he had this novelty hit called Hi Ho Silver Lining, and I think the only person who hated that song more than me was Jeff himself. It was recorded sort of under duress at the behest of his producer, Mickey Most, I believe. But yeah, the There and Back album, and then obviously going back and discovering the Blow by Blow album. Dear me, if you learn nothing else from this video, if you've never heard the Jeff Beck album Blow by Blow, just go and listen to it. Put headphones on. Get rid of any distractions and sit and listen to that album from start to finish. I mean, tracks like Constipated Duck and She's a Woman and, Freeway Jam as well. It's a masterpiece of an album. And, if he'd only ever, because we ended as lovers, of course, as well. If he'd only ever recorded that one album, I think he would still be regarded as one of the greats. Unpredictable, uncopyable, utterly unique, and produced music that was, to me at least, accessible, catchy, and engaging. And, again, favourite solo artists, how can I not pick Jeff Beck? Next.
Gary Moore.
Yeah, I bet you were wondering when this name was going to crop up. Gary Moore. Probably my favourite guitar player of all time. I would say I love everything he did. The last 10 years of his career, I sort of lost interest a little bit. Feel a little bit guilty for that now, actually. But, everything from the early albums like Grinding Stone, through his tenure with Thin Lizzy and the G-Force band, I didn't kind of discover him right from those early records. I discovered him because there was a chap I shared a college dorm with in 1984 who kept on playing the Victims of the Future album, and Empty Rooms was a bit of a minor radio hit, the original version, and he subsequently got re-released in a different arrangement, and it was a bigger hit. But just discovering that Victims of the Future album and subsequent albums like Run for Cover, After the War and Wild Frontier, and of course Still Got the Blues, that was just absolutely, and probably one of my favourite albums. I might do my 5 favourite albums of all time, because I don't think I've done that one yet. I've done favourite albums in a particular genre, but spoiler alert, if I do 5 favourite albums of all time, Still Got the Blues will be just on there, because it's just, it's a fantastic album. I love it in 20-foot tall letters. As I do all the rest of his output, really. As I say, last 10 years of his life, from albums like Dark Days in Paradise onwards, things got a little bit sporadic. Mainly, I think it wasn't his guitar playing that suffered. I just started noticing that there was a nasal, unpleasant quality to his singing voice that I found really off-putting. Anyone else notice that on his later work? But yeah. If we're talking about artists whose output and whose material and whose, kind of back catalogue I go back to on a regular basis and never tire of hearing, then Gary had to be on the list. So, there you go. Those are my 5 favourite solo artists of all time. As ever, let me know what you think of my choices down in the comments, and let me know what your choices would be as well. And if there are any names to you that are new, then once again, I'm going to make basically just a little selection of what I think is an indicative choice for each of these artists down in the description. So there'll be some links there, so go and check them out. But that is the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and many, many other things. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.